Even on a day like this, it's Fragments of Silicon.
All right, welcome to the first episode of season 14 of Fragments of Silicon. I wish this was being transmitted under better circumstances, uh, given the state of things at this particular moment in time. You we'll be talking about those a lot more on our new political show, Last News Desk on the Left, which is happening after this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as it is, our plans here is just honestly casual decompression. Um, didn't have a guest this week because we're right off the holidays, um, and it's always hard to get somebody to do the first post-holiday show because like people are just getting back to work. Like I got an email about that yesterday. Why that next week's guest in the lateness of response, um, and so on and so forth. So we were set to do another installment of our 80 days Let's Play, and but just scrap that because not in the mood for it. Just not in the mood to be that level of performative. This is really more about decompressing after a very stressful day. I'm like, uh, anyway, I suppose let's see what the crew's personal news for the week is. Uh, Twilight, why don't you start us off this week?
All right. Well, the Christmas holiday was good overall. Um, was lucky enough in much to my personal joy. We got Christmas snow this year, first time in a decade, actually. Uh, and yeah, it started just as I got to my parents' place after work. Stayed there overnight. Um, about an hour after um, getting there, it was already covering the roads and the ground. uh, well, let's see here. And, in terms of gifts for this past year, um, mostly clothes. I don't really ask for anything anymore. I do enjoy surprises though, and much of my surprise this year, my cousin has sent me a electronic pressure cooker.
Oh man.
Yeah, I haven't really figured out if I'm going to fix anything yet with that thing. I have to actually check it out. I've taken a look at it. Um, just not sure what I'll be fixing with it yet. Um, I look forward to learning what all I can fix with that. My mother has told me a few things, and he actually sent her one as well for Christmas. I don't think she's used it yet, though. Well, another surprise was actually another electric toothbrush. I got one about 2 or 3 years ago. It's worn out. The brush line actually wore out, and replacement brushes are kind of expensive. My mother had actually found this thing here, and it's actually got a thing that squirts water out that you use for flossing your teeth.
Water flosser
Yeah, water flosser.
or
Yeah.
water pick is also
Yeah, yeah, they call it a water pick. Yeah, it's got like 3 different ones on it. Well, they could put on it. Um, I'm not sure how effective that thing actually is. I've tried it out, and it definitely has the after flossing feel to it. And if it actually does work, I'd be more than happy to use it because I'm pretty sure everybody enjoys. I mean, everybody shares his opinion that flossing is kind of annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do it though.
Yeah, I used floss picks. They're better
Yeah.
than wrapping stuff around your finger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway. Well, besides Christmas, holiday season at work it was actually not quite as intensive this year as it had been in past years. And things have been slowly going back to normal. Well, it seems that we've went back to I don't know why we quit this. I wish they had actually kept going with it, but they went back to using the electronic thermometer to check us whenever we clock in to see what our temperature is. First day of doing that, it wouldn't pick my temperature. Uh, ah, it couldn't pick up my temperature at all. Just kept joking about maybe I'm dead.
I was about to say, he's a corpse.
Yeah. Last time that happened, they took my wrists with it since that actually worked, but this time, no. Still saying I'm dead.
Well then.
But yeah, but it's actually been working now, so yeah, this probably an error on its part. Uh, anyway, um, other than that, in terms of gaming, I tried out the Halo Master Chief collection that I bought a while back on Steam. This would be the first, well, not exactly the first time I played a Halo game, but I did play the Halo 2 years ago at a friend's place. I actually remember finding that actually kind of fun, but I tried out the first game this time, first time ever, and not too much to my surprise, and well, I'm not. Um, it's about what I figured. Even back then, I'm not exactly impressed with it, even for its well, keeping in mind its time of release. Actually, kind of boring. The first one is. I might try the other ones. I kind of wanted to go through the games and see what all the hubbub was about it for back in its time, but well, their time. But I don't know. Otherwise, let's see here. For, well, me and some friends actually started a playthrough of Left 4 Dead 2. One of them I never actually hadn't actually played it before, and when it played through it with us, there was 3 of us in the computer, and the computer kind of terrible, to nobody's surprise. But then one of them's now having internet issues, and now the 2 of us are start going to the first Borderlands together, and that's been fun so far. And well, in terms of gaming, that's about it. So next person.
All right, Galix.
I've completely lost track of time. Is this is like since we went on season break? News since we went on season break?
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, we had my grandmother up for the holidays because my aunt and uncle, who normally would have helped take care of her and, you know, be there with her, my uncle was having a hip replacement, so
Oof.
uh, thankfully that went pretty well. I have my doctor's appointment this Friday finally to be officially a new patient and like actually, get medical care since I have insurance and stuff.
Yay.
I was supposed to be a couple weeks ago, but I think I mentioned this. Um, my mom got a COVID test because she was having what turned out to be probably allergies, because my grandma was coming up and she wanted to be super clear, and the doctors asked me if anyone I knew was being tested for COVID when I showed up, and I said, well, it's probably nothing, but yes, my mother's being tested. They said, oh, well, after a bit, they said, oh, well, we'll have to have you reschedule. So
Mm.
that was frustrating then, but now we're hopefully finally going to get it done. This one is by telemedicine, so, or by Zoom, whatever. So even if, which my mom hasn't had another test, but even if she had, it would have been okay. So, on the other hand, I imagine there's some things they can't do that
Yeah.
way. So. But otherwise, I'm honestly having a hard time remembering a time before today. So, yeah, I had a therapist appointment on Monday.
Okay. Like,
we were hoping we were almost done with this shit.
I mean, in a sense, we are.
It's just
You know,
new shit.
It's just, it was going to be a shit show to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm kind. Yeah.
We know.
Not much else big has happened. I took a lot of last week off, but this week I'm working again.
Right. Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, over to you, Petty.
Okay, like up until like a few days ago, the break was pretty uneventful. And then my mom had some sort of bad reaction to her meds and almost took 10 days worth of painkillers at once. So that was fun.
Wow.
That is not a good number.
No, that is not. Especially when she takes, 2 pills 3 times a day. That is a very bad number. That's a go to the hospital number.
Mm-hmm.
If you're lucky.
Luckily, I think the LD50 is usually ridiculously higher than the maximum amount they tell you can take, but still, that's too much.
Yeah. So yeah, they adjusted her dosage, so now no more loopy, so that's good. And as far as stuff I got for Christmas, not a whole lot. I mainly got clothes and a new battery, rechargeable battery for my phone, a battery bank or whatever. And I think I still have one more present coming from my mom, but it got lost in shipping because thanks USPS. So yeah, that's fun. And then day before yesterday, we got a letter from the city because they're on their stupid bullshit again. This time, instead of the grass, because we've been keeping that clean, they wanted us to clean out everything in our private backyard, from our back porch and from behind our garage that has no public access to it. So yeah, that was a fun $300 to get that cleaned up by somebody. Yeah. If you can't tell, I'm not a big fan of my city.
How many fights have you had with them?
I stopped counting.
It's hard to say.
I mean, I can't imagine why you would hate your city.
Especially because I don't know if they realize, yeah, there are 2 people with disabilities here and 2 people who work nights. So yeah, doing regular yard work is hard.
That's not the right question to ask.
Fair.
It's not whether or not they know. It's whether or not that they care.
Fair.
And the answer is, of course, no, they don't.
Yeah. It might also have something to do with my dad because they were building a new fire station a few years ago around here, and my dad drunkenly called them and told them give us $1 million for our house. That might have something to do with it.
It probably
Doesn't
poured some gasoline.
Yeah, it probably didn't
Yeah.
help.
You know, I'm like, anyway. Anything else?
I got my stimulus check in Monday and finally got myself a new pair of shoes that I've been needing it for like 5 years.
Mm.
And I'm waiting to decide if I want to buy a Switch or not because my neurologist wants me to see about trying oxygen to help with my cluster headaches, but my insurance doesn't cover that, so I have to pay for it out of pocket. So I figured might as well use the stimulus money for something useful if I can.
There.
So yeah, just waiting to hear back from my doctor's office about, going to having the paperwork to go to my equipment provider because they can't just tell me how much it would be for whatever fucking reason. So yeah, that's a thing. And also I picked up an air fryer yesterday because it was $30 on clearance.
Nice.
So far we've been enjoying it. I just made pigs in a blanket in it. Nice and crispy. And not the burnt kind of crispy either. So yeah, I guess that's all from me.
I guess it's my go.
Yep.
Let's
Mhm.
see. Christmas for me was, well, about the same as Thanksgiving. Went over to my brother's place. Um, you know, brought a whole bunch of presents for the nephew and the niece. Um, and I suppose the good thing with one of the good things with kids is, you know, they're not picky. You know, like they didn't care that we didn't have, I don't know, whatever fucking toy is popular with the kids.
I stopped
Um,
paying attention a long time ago.
yeah, that's kind of my point here.
Yeah.
I had like until a few months ago, I didn't have to fucking pay attention to these things. And even then, like a bunch of toys was gotten, and they were enjoyed. Uh, you know, Christmas was pretty uneventful. Given the global pandemic and all
Mm.
that. New Year's was similarly like that. Like, didn't stop me from drinking 2020 away.
That's how you do it.
Oh yeah, like there was this sizable hangover the next day, but I regretted nothing.
I was gonna say, you may not remember several hours from the night before, but it's fine.
Yeah, I'm like, there were times when those that was more eventful, um, but that's neither here nor there. Um, and let's see, um, as far as what I got for Christmas, pants, like, dropped down a size.
Oh man.
Not even it wasn't even attempted or anything. It just happened. And a whole bunch of Steam games.
Yeah, almost like a Steam sale happened or something.
Yeah, yeah, like
Funny how
a
that
whole bunch of
works.
yeah. We got a whole bunch of Disney games, a whole bunch of Microsoft games, Mortal Kombat 10. Yeah, it's a bit of a blur actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All I even asked for Christmas was a bigger external hard drive and an air pump for my car tires. And I got that, but it just isn't the same when your family can't be there anyway.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't go out and go shopping because I didn't want to expose myself so that I wouldn't expose my parents.
yeah.
Sorry for interrupting.
It's fine. You know, I mean, you know, this is not the show we intended to have today. It, we were going to be more upbeat,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
given circumstances, it's understand it's understandable why we're a bit more resigned, verklempt. Not exactly sure what the mood is. Exhausted.
I like exhausted.
Yeah,
Sounds about right.
exhausted works, but we still have a show to do. And like I said, this week we are going over the best and worst of what we reviewed in 2020. That is, we are talking about in terms of 2020 games. In terms of 2020 gaming, we're not talking about, say, The Last of Us or the Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity, anything of that. Not even like Hades, because we didn't review it. Not from a lack of trying. I mean, it's I asked Supergiant Games if they wanted to be on the show. They were receptive. It's just they were busy launching a game and declined. That's not the first, or no, nor that will be the last time that kind of thing ever happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Somebody
turns out being in the middle of releasing a major game makes you have less time for stuff, especially if you're a small operation.
Yeah, and Supergiant is a small operation. Uh, and the games we review tend not to be reviewed by a lot of outlets. Sometimes they are, um, sometimes, but a lot of the time, like like how many Radalikia games get mainstream coverage? Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, going through the list, let's see. We started off with The Park, which was a weird spin-off thing to The Secret World.
Oh, fuck, it was. I totally forgot about that one.
That's going to be a refrain you're going to be hearing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a
Pretty
hard time picking favorites this year because a large proportion of my games went into the baskets of mediocre Ratalaika platformer, uh, visual novel, which is really hard to score as a game, and that also includes some like hidden object type games, and chess puzzle. There was a surprising number of chess puzzles in my particular review
God.
this year.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, the
that
park
is
was
one.
actually pretty interesting. I thought it's not my thing because it's scary.
Yeah. Um, Probably more notable is we reviewed the duo send off of Shovel Knight, King of Cards, and Showdown. A
Yeah,
game like I think that like this has kind of already been forgotten, in spite of how much praise. Maybe it's just the world moving on from original Shovel Knight developments or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, um, King of Cards was my favorite campaign outside of Strike the Earth, and Showdown is a broken mess. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I thought Showdown was fun.
in terms of its online,
Oh, well, yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
At some point it's system based.
right. We used this was our using that that Steam Together Forever or whatever uh, thing
Wait, I'll
that
play.
Anyway,
yeah
regardless, yeah, King of Cards was a well developed story and also um, very well mechanically designed.
mhm. Yep. Um, it's just Showdown as a game was average. Like you can see why this got released in tandem with King of Cards.
Hmm.
Even though it is a standalone game. Um, uh,
Anyway, Shovel Knight's still one of the games of the year, even though it came out
Tail end of December, but it was close enough where.
oh no, I meant the original one. 5 years ago.
Yeah, that came out in what, 2013, if I'm remembering correctly. Like,
yes, so.
I mean, my copy, like my original copy of Shovel Knight was gifted to me by the developers.
Yeah,
I was like one of the first people in the world to play that game. And that's kind of why we kept reviewing Shovel Knight games. They kept attaching it to the to the treasure trove, as it's now known. Once again, apologies if we sound a bit more, if we sound a bit stilted today. We are. It's not just that we are low energy right now. We're saving our energy for the other show. Trust me, that's going to be a lot more electric.
Indeed.
Let's see. Volatile Triangle. I do remember this one, barely.
Attack of the Toy Tanks, I think, was that one just me?
Yeah, Attack of the Toy Tanks was you. That was our first Radalaikia game of the year.
Yeah, there wasn't too much to it.
Once again, expect that refrain when talking about this particular publisher. We've gone over Radalaikia games time and again, and it will continue to happen. Though curiously, they've made more of a pivot towards visual novels and visual novel type things. Yeah, it's like Radalaikia games. They tend to be okay, like the Neutraloaf of video gaming.
Sounds that right?
And once again, there are so many of these games on our list, as they keep making their games accessible to us. So, let me see here. Yeah, Volatile Triangle. That was the game where volatility was basically the slingshotting a triangle. It was a more abstract version of Angry Birds, from what I remember. Like, let's see, Kirchhoff's Revenge.
I think that was mine.
No, this was everyone.
Yeah.
Kirchhoff's Revenge was our first freeware replacement of the season.
Oh, right.
This is a weird wannabe Stanley Parable Portal crossbreed.
Yeah. Crossed with an
actual weird plumbing punk electrical puzzles.
Well, an actual teaching tool. Like, this was created by a university to teach how circuitry is built. Like the actual game was kind of jank, not gonna lie. I suppose what would be expected of an effort of this level, but it had a certain uniqueness to it. It had a derivativeness in its terms of style and presentation. It's just using that to actually teach information was certainly novel.
Yeah.
64.0, which was which was another. It was a game that existed. I'm not sure what to call this. It's not the first one of these we've encountered where it's you're basically a turret and you gotta you're being assailed on four sides by various things, and you've got to shoot them down in a certain order. Color matching. Once again, this was there. A thing that would also apply to My Friend is a Raven. I remember it had a pretty stark atmosphere, and that's about
Mm.
it. You know, like I said,
Yeah.
this is going to be a lot of this list here. Um, you can see we have about 170 entries, and while not everyone reviewed everything, like in fact, it's ever more a single reviewer is handling a game. It's still now, and my friend is a Raven. There was another freeware fill-in, um, and like the devs PR people actually sent me the sequel, which was in early access. I don't think I ever actually visited it. They gave it a sight unseen, so they said, "Do what you want with this." So yeah, I decided to stuff it in a drawer, basically. And let's see, bouncy bullets. That was the bouncy FPS game. Petty had that one. Yeah, he was not a fan.
That's putting it mildly. Oh, good lord.
Yeah. Mochi Mochi Boy, which that was a puzzle game. Like, yeah, that was basically Snake as a puzzle game, if I'm remembering correctly. I, you know, uh, just a lot of bland.
hmm
Um, Once again, Pulsar, a pretty subpar shmup. This is actually two games here, Petty.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, Photographs was a um, narrative minigame collection. Is the best way I could put it.
Mm.
You know, one of the more interesting games I covered this year. Um, you know, really concerned with um, the sins that we commit and narrative redemption, and framed around a weird rapper. Let's see, Vampire Fall Origins. This was an action RPG that I played. Yeah, I hate keep coming back to this. It was well enough. Um, it was it's one of these like RPG games that I'm really starting to tire of. And
Mhm.
that's really shallow, light on the mechanics RPG games.
Yeah, they were big in what, sixth generation?
I, not like honestly, if you put um, not even that. Like I've never really seen a RPG like this is like deliberately aimed at casual players, entry level, something like that.
Mm.
You know, it's not because they were limited; it's because they wanted to be really accessible, and that you know that's not what I really look for in an RPG. You
Mhm.
know, if it's what we got to review, then that's one thing. It's just it's like you can only do like two or three things. You know, in a and you can only equip like two or three things or something like that. Um, Delta Squad. Okay, this I actually remember.
Yeah, it's a top-down twin stick shooter thingy. This was we had did we had the Switch version. It was Ratalaika,
Yeah, like
though it is on other platforms.
yeah,
Yeah, this one was severely underbaked in terms of concept. Like,
this one.
or rather, the concept, like, it had a concept, but it did not execute on the concept in any particularly interesting ways.
Yeah, um, yeah, this was the first, like maybe not the first, but like a Ratalaika game I could, and um, like I think this was something that they ported rather than just developed. Like
Yeah, you
sometimes
have it
they
on
fund the
Steam, so
yeah
yeah, that version is by Eskima Games.
yeah. Um,
Schema, I don't know.
it's like we keep using Radalaikia because even though a lot of the time, a good lot of the time, they're just a port dev, they really do have a type, and that is like surprisingly light and flavorless across a variety of genres. Um, though in the case of Delta Squad, played the PC version, I would actually say this was outright bad. Um,
Well, you know me, I don't have perfect memory of it, so I'm using less negative terminology than I probably did in the initial review.
yeah, well, here's the thing. The fact that I still remember this means it was worse. Um, because, like I said, a lot of this list is a you know hodgepodge of it was all right in various um, capacities,
Mhm.
and you know, I not sure how much of this list we'll get through, because we do have a time limit. But like I said, this is just us dealing with today as best as we can. You know, I'll be honest. I think we're bringing our D game, maybe C. You know,
Mm-hmm.
And maybe C plus.
yeah, I do have. You know, I don't usually feel the need to apologize this profusely, but usually even when we don't have a guest, we tend to be more spirited and dynamic than this.
Wait, you
But
guys are bringing game?
uh,
I'm kidding.
yeah, let's see, Aversion. This was like the first-person puzzle game we dealt with. Um, it's pretty good. Rather brain teasing. I remember. I like the aesthetics of the game. Um, let's see. I think this is another one that might be two games. Yeah,
Ah,
Ten. Yeah, Ten. Why I Became an Angel. Um, that was the first manga gamer visual novel that we reviewed it. Um,
It at least had an interesting premise.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, this is the one that they had a lot of trouble with on Steam. Like I think that's what I primarily remember. This one, just John being very mad at Steam for this game being pulled.
the level of
Uh,
salt could give you a fucking kidney stone.
no doubt. Uh,
Yeah.
but and like whatever happened, I don't think we got the full story on that. Like just apparently was an issue on not Steam's end, like maybe the developers. I do know it's been resolved since then, and you can get Boku 10.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, this was okay. Um,
I liked it fairly well.
it was a pretty typical. I hesitate to use the word harem because that's not necessarily.
This was the
Like,
one where your thing was like more about setting up other people, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
it
yeah,
was.
yeah,
He was playing Cupid basically, while Cupid really couldn't do anything.
yeah. And like I said, it was okay. Um, Where Angels Cry, Tears of the Fallen. Um, this was one of those hidden object games that
Yeah,
Gauntlet was talking about.
where there is a perhaps unwarranted degree of setting development for that kind of game, but
uh,
ultimately it's still a hidden object game,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um,
which go under more or less like the gameplay of those games has nothing to do with the story of the game. They're like completely segregated almost,
mm-hmm.
which
mm,
makes them just as hard to grade as actual games as visual novels. I was like I said, I include them together in that category.
yeah. Let's see. Just ignore them. That was the Japanese yokai infused 8-bit horror game.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. I remember liking um, this, though not as much as My Big Sister, which was um, you know that was a more interesting version of this.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Sleep Attack, I don't even remember.
I don't even remember it.
Me neither.
I'm going.
Yes.
Like I said,
Oh, that was the one where it's a friggin' tower defense game and you have to stop the little things from waking up your monster.
Oh
yeah,
no,
this is
just
one of yours.
Oh.
yeah, just ignore them was the one where your mom got killed and stuff like that.
Yeah. Just Ignore Them was good, but like I said, it was basically a rough draft version for My Big Sister.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
We were going to have the developer of those games on the show, and then the COVID restrictions hit. And not the only interview that put the kibosh on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Mortal Glory. I think that was one of yours, Twilight.
It was, yeah. Yeah, it was a nice game. It was basically a strategy game where you had to form a party of gladiators to go through this tournament type deal that was being observed by a demon, apparently. And you had to reach the end of the tournament and become a champion. Not sure if I ever got to the end. We got a pretty good ways into it, though. It was fun, though. Not one of my best games of the year, but I did enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Wrong window. Like so many windows open right now. Let's see. Hoggy 2. Um, Probably if not the best, but one of the best Radalaikia handled games that we covered in my estimation. You know, it was once again it's pretty simple. That's the game with the worms that do the gravity gimmick. Up down, and you got to hit the you know, and if nothing else, there was a lot of that game. Like let's see, Luna the Shadow Dust. Yeah, I remember this one pretty vividly. Uh, Adventure game, really good hand drawn art style. Um, Probably my number 6 of the year in terms of best.
Mm.
You know, Missed it by that much because I played um, other adventure-ish kind of games that did more interesting things, or I liked better because of, let's say, nostalgic reasons. But Luna was, about a 5-hour game. Um, Pretty typical adventure game stuff. Maybe a bit adventure game light. Um, in terms of like actual areas you could go was more like it's literal room by room by room because you're ascending a tower. Um, but yeah, this one was really good. Sky Cannoneer. This one I also remember, much less fondly. Uh, it was okay. It was a modern take on Rampart. I've just never been that big of a fan of Rampart. Um, let's see, Red Bow.
That was the yokai one.
Yeah, that was the other yokai one. Like I said, they had 3 of these.
Mm-hmm.
This one was in the middle.
Hmm.
Yeah. Neon Junctions. This was another first-person puzzle game. Basically, you connect, and it would involve circuitry as well.
Uh huh.
Swear that wasn't planned. It's just this one had. It's a Radalaika game, so it had a lot less personality. You know, a lot more abstract. I know, like, once again, I think this is another one that Radalaika picked up for consoles, but it's still, this was less interesting than either Aversion or Kirichov's Revenge. Now, let's see. Void Cube Runner. Oh, right, this one. This one is number 2 on my worst list because it just flat out didn't work. I'm not sure why code was still available for this. It was like, it's not the first. I think that was actually like the first time I got a code for a thing that was already out. Like, when the last time this year that happened? Well, that
Didn't
time
we got? I thought we got this one running.
we got it running. It was just shit game.
Yeah,
It was.
It's one of those, it wasn't worth the time it took to get it running.
Yeah.
Indeed.
It's just like the jumping didn't work.
Well,
certainly
you
not
flew
to the
through the
extent
air
that the game wanted it to work.
Yeah. That's kind of an important one. That's the core of your game.
You jump and you couldn't land on anything. Yep.
Let's see. Skelly Boy or Skell Boy, however I don't think it's Skelly Boy because it needs a 9.
It's Skell Boy.
Yeah, Skell Boy. That was one of yours, Galax.
Yeah, it's a Radalaika platformer, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the art was cute. It's about all I got.
Yep.
Oh, right, I remember this one now. Yeah, I actually kind of liked this one. It was a little bit weird. It's not actually a platform. It's a well, it is sort of a platformer, but it's 3D one. It's the one where you start out as a skeleton and then you like can get sometimes when you kill a zombie or a guard or something, you can get either their head or what they had as a additional thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is I mean it wasn't great, but it was at least kind of clever.
Yeah. I don't have an actual opinion for this one because I didn't play it.
Just when someone else did it. Well, it's on Steam now.
Yeah, I know. It said other platforms. Like, I got an offer for the Xbox One version, for example. Oh, let's see. Darksiders Genesis, our first THQ Nordic game, of which we had several of this year. Gave you this one because it was the PlayStation 4 version, Betty. Because you're also our Darksiders aficionado.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan.
Yeah, I remember you yelling about the jumping.
Oh God, don't get me started.
Through the darkest of times. Yeah, this one seems even more poignant today. Because even though as a game it's fairly shallow, I found, though that's kind of, it's one of those games that's light on the gameplay, heavy on the political commentary, because this is, guiding the underground resistance movement through 1930s Germany up to the end of World War II. I'm like, yeah, through the darkest of fucking times. Like, not good enough to get on my top 10 list, but still a game you should play. The Longing. Yeah, this is still one of the most unique, really, maybe the most unique game I've ever played. This is the game where you have to wait 400 days to awake a sleeping king.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way,
you just do what you want in between.
Yeah. It still hasn't been 400 days as of this recording. Um, so whatever's supposed to happen still hasn't happened yet. I think that's not happening until May, March,
Do you need to set a reminder for you to actually find out?
possibly. But my point is, I've actively stopped playing it. But you can do that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and the thing of it is, my copy is ahead of a lot of like if you bought this day one,
Because you got it before launch.
yeah, I mean that's kind of one of the perks of this affair, this job, I guess, um, is sometimes we get stuff early. I've gotten stuff as early as a month. It just it ended up sitting in my Steam profile because I had other games to handle.
Hmm.
9 Plus, I interviewed the developer.
What did you say, Adam? I think
Decent.
you dropped a little there.
9 Plus. This is the Zelda clone we reviewed this year.
Yeah, it was decent from what I
Decent.
remember.
Once again, if not this may be the best Rodalikia game adjacent thing because they did handle the console work there.
Oh yeah, and there were actually some clever puzzles in this regarding like
Right.
markings on the floor in different rooms and stuff.
Yeah. Project Starship, which Petty, I think that was yours.
Yeah. Though nothing comes to mind much on it, so.
It's fine. Ditto Femida. I just remember
Yeah.
having fun.
Hmm? Yeah, I
That was
remember.
yours, Twilight?
Yeah, it was mine. Yeah. Well, you guys were talking about some of the other games. I had to look. I saw that and I was like, wait, who? What was that? And I was looking. Oh yeah, I remember this game. Yeah, I had some trouble with the save feature on it, and managed to get it working. And yeah, the visual novel where you play as a judge and you had to judge cases and make choices that could affect the future outcome of the story. I barely remember anything beyond that. It was all right. Um, and yeah, that's all I can really recall about it. Besides the whole judge thing, the judge trials, decide when to bang your gavel and ask questions here and there. You had to review the cases before then as well. Beyond that, yeah, that's about all. I don't even remember what the exact story was about. So, I guess
This is
next
also, by the way, why you should check out our full reviews of these games.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yes, we don't always have perfect memories of what happens during the year, especially when it's been a fucking year like this.
Yeah, I actually forgot it from me until now.
Yeah.
I remember it's a stack though. I actually liked it.
Yeah. Milo's Quest, I remember, if only for the fact that it had a doggo as a protagonist. And Petty handled that one.
Yeah, I remember not being a big fan of that one.
Elderborn Metal AF Slasher. I actually rather liked that one. My biggest problem with Elderborn was it wasn't really optimized all that well.
Yeah, I think that was part of my problem too. Like, conceptually, it looked pretty awesome, but the optimization problems is what held it back.
Yeah. Wonderling, that was another one for the Galax.
Wonderling?
Wonderling.
Wonderling was again another. I mean, at the premise of you being basically a Goomba who has quote unquote superpowers, such as like the ability to jump and use items occasionally, um, is kind of clever, but the game itself was fairly I mean, it's a tricky platformer, but there was not that much memorable about it in the long term, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My big sister. This is the game I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, out of the trilogy of Stranga games, 8-bit inspired horror games, this was the best.
Yeah.
Not coincidentally, it was the longest and most fleshed out. Really, the other two felt like rough drafts for this particular game.
Yeah, I did.
I know Stranga is working on a new game in development, um, and maybe we'll end up covering that one. Don't know yet, but let's see. Football game. Um, the, yeah, this was an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Really short, and I can't say sweet.
Yeah.
Kind of the opposite. Really, really bitter.
Ending
Like,
comes like out of left field.
not really if you're
Like
paying attention.
well, kind of.
Like, no, that's kind of the ending they were building to. If you're paying attention to what everyone's saying about your protagonist,
Fair.
I won't go into
yeah.
more because that's kind of the point of the game. And if you
Mhm.
want to experience this, it's like maybe at most $5. I don't think it was even that on PC. Like,
Yeah.
it's like an hour. So, it, I'd say it's worth going through. Less so was One Night Stand.
One Night Stand was actually pretty decent. I mean, it's a very short visual novel type thing.
Yeah, and the goal there is to like get all the endings, and like the name says, it's about a literal one night stand.
Yeah, you wake up in an apartment with a girl who you don't remember anything from the night before, and your goal is to figure out what happened,
Mm-hmm.
and then decide where to go from there.
Yeah. Let's see. You must build a boat. I do remember this one.
Mhm.
Basically, a skin paste of 10 or 100 million. A game we had reviewed the year previous, and it's a sliding, it's a mobile style tile puzzle game, um, where your objective is to literally build a boat, kind of an arc, if you will, because you're dealing with a lot of animals.
Mhm.
Let's see, The Man with the Ivory Cane, another hidden object game given
Yeah,
to
again, there's a good narrative there, sort of, if you're into that. But is that really what you go to that kind of game for?
depends.
Mhm.
Like Nancy Drew's been pumping out these kind of games for fucking eons.
Yeah,
Indeed.
I'm almost literally at this point.
Yep. Uh, you know, by the way, we are not going to be able to get through this list. Uh, that's how fucking massive it is.
Mhm.
You know. But so I think I'll conclude things by listing the actual tops and bottoms, or at least mine, if I can find the right window. Let's see. My top games of the year were Streets of Rage 4. Um, I'm a big Streets of Rage fan, and it was shocking to see that the developers brought Streets of Rage 4, and it feels like Streets of Rage. And it makes me glad that Streets of Rage was brought back properly. There's no fucking Final Fight Streetwises in the legacy here. Not officially. Like, I know Fighting Force was supposed to be a Streets of Rage game, but it's not officially one, so it doesn't count. Um, Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. This was the least of the THQ Nordic um, remakes, releases, whatever, in terms of effort done, but I spent like 125 hours into this.
Yeah, well, the
So,
original game was also pretty awesome, but just got dealt an unfair hand.
yeah. And don't know if we're covering the forthcoming expansion pack, but we'll see when that comes out later on this year. Number 3, Paradise Killer. As I said, uh, this game just had a lot of style. Took the Danganronpa and Phoenix Wright formula and moved it forward in really good ways. In fact, I wished I had more time with that. Number 4, Sam Max Save the World Remastered. This one here, I'm not going to lie, is a lot of nostalgia because I'm a big Sam and Max fan. I played this back in the day. And, it's not the best of the Telltale Sam and Max games, but it was a pretty good start.
Also, it's currently the easiest one to get running.
Right, until the other remasters get
Mm-hmm.
here. And number 5, Doggerai, which is my surprise of the year, because this is another on its face a typical. It's a pretty simple, typical action game. This is kind of the contrast to all of the Rodalikia stuff we keep coming back to. It's simple, but it has a purpose. Everything here has a purpose. It's not blandness for the sake of bland design. It's got it's not using 8-bit graphics because those are really easy to use. It's got a specific style, and it's a really underutilized style. That is,
it is a way more kinetic game than the actual Game Boy could ever have handled, but it still pulls it off enough that it kind of feels plausible.
Yeah. It's an homage to games that you played on the Game Boy, and it was damn good. Bottom 5, room number 9. This is the first time I've ever listed a game in my top awful list for content. It's a visual novel. Like, it ran fine. Usually the games that end up here are, because they had shit gameplay or they were virtually unplayable in terms of one aspect or another. This was literal fucking torture porn.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually the intent here. And it gets pretty fucking depraved. And, I can tolerate a lot. Once we got to the I'd rather not get into it. I was done.
Yeah, we mentioned it in the review, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just an actual fucking disgusting game. And honestly, on a content level, it's not even the fetishes that's the most awful part. Although, you should probably never do those kind of things with various bodily leavings, let's say. But it's more the actual torture. The people involved here are being forced against their will, and it's not a Saw situation. You're supposed to get off on this, literally. That's just fucking disgusting to me on a moral level.
Literal torture, literal porn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, number 2, Void Cube Runner, covered it. Number 3, Laron.
Which is also, Laron didn't have the troubles getting it playing, but it's a very janky looking 3D platformer.
Yeah.
And janky controlling.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, this is more our typical why a game gets, and it was really bad. Number 4, Foxyland 2.
Now, Foxyland 2 is an interesting case. If it was alone, it would have just been a little bit below Ratalaika thing. But the thing is, Foxyland 2 is a sequel to Foxyland, which we also reviewed.
Yeah, Foxyland was a typical Ratalaika platformer. Not great, not bad. Just once again another dead average platformer with a bit of personality in relation to what other things that they released. Foxyland 2 fucking screwed that up.
Yeah, I think it's the first regressive sequel I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, like I I don't know how they shit the bed that much with the controls and the physics, and I've rarely seen a game take that much of a step back. But it happened here. And finally, on my list, Hypergalactic Psychic Table Tennis 3000. Um, this was a Pong game that screwed up the concept of Pong. How the fuck do you do that? By having a paddle that barely moves, or moves too fast, or doing all sorts of wonky shit that is interesting in the name of gimmickry, but that's about it. Yeah. And yeah, I can get a bit more animated about shit I actually remember and loathe or really liked, rather than a lot of the parade of blandness that is our week to week stuff. Anyway, any other additions or anything else you want to add to the pile?
As far as some of my worst was, some of the Radalekia games I got, like Underground Street Racer, I think it was.
Uh-huh.
And there's also kind of a disappointment one with Little Big Workshop.
Right.
And also another one for the worst is Spitlings. There's a special place in hell for that game.
Charming?
No.
Let's see, what was it? Bounty Battle seemed cool, but the mechanic, it was just bad. Like bad to actually play. The mechanics were not good. Explosive Dinosaurs was a extremely underbaked party mini game compilation.
Dude, it was still raw in the middle. What the hell are you talking about? It was still raw in the middle. What the hell are you talking about?
Let's see. Jisei, and what was the other one? The other visual novel with the
Bokuten? Are you
talking about Sakura no Mori Dreamers?
No.
Oh. Shoot, I forget.
Blind Men, I think. Were both actually pretty good, even though they're not really my thing.
Oh, another one for the shitless is Random Heroes.
Well, for me, at least the ones I liked that were my best, for me, I enjoyed Chicken Police painted it red. I'm a sucker for the whole noir murder mystery setting type deal.
Even with chickens.
Even with all the somewhat unsettling putting the animal's head on a person's body type deal. Yeah, I still enjoyed it. Not everything was unsettling, but some of them were. Another one, I did really like Election Year Knockout as well. It has been a long time since I played a Punch-Out game. That's probably part of the reason why I enjoyed it so much. Last one I played before then was Punch-Out Wii. That has been years. Let's see here. There's The Ambassador, Fractured Timelines. I actually enjoyed that one fairly well. It was the RPG-ish game where top-down RPG game where you collected various magical weapons and fought your way through these different areas to discover what happened to a city. Well, what destroyed a city. And then there's a Someday You'll Return. That was the first-person horror adventure game that I liked fairly well. It reminded me a lot of Silent Hill, Shattered Memories. With how you're a father searching for his missing daughter while exploring these woods. forest, and while trying to piece together what happened to her. I'd say the only thing I didn't really like about it was the main protagonist was a hole. Um, well then, let's see here. No. Well, for the worst, only one I could really say that was actually I actually found bad. It was out of room number 9, but Adam's already covered that. I share the same opinions there. Was it's not this is more of a sort of a performance issue I had with it. Pamela. I liked the game overall. I enjoyed the creepy atmosphere and the survival aspect of it. But the optimization was so terrible that the game's performance got worse and worse as it ran. I was able to play it, but for no more than maybe 45 minutes at a time, I think. That's really the only legitimately bad bad game I had on my list here. The others were just kind of just there. Some of them were just beside room number 9. Some of them were just bland. Uh, no, the one that I played personally, I actually thought were bad, just boring or bland. That could be there for worst.
Of the puzzle games I had, I think I kind of like the idea of Jed. At the very least, it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't a chess puzzler, so that made it stand out a little bit. But it was a little bit interesting. And what was the other one that was near that? and Kawaii Desu Desu was the name is a little bit obnoxious. Some of the art is cute, but the game is just super grindy and not worth it.
Yeah.
Okay, Twilight, continue.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. I thought you was done.
I was kind of done there, but I guess if there's one more I wanted to mention, I guess Otter Bash. It's not necessarily bad, but it's not very. It wasn't all that good either. And there was no AI in there. I felt that should have been a thing. You needed somebody to play it, otherwise it's not really anything you could do there. And that's really it for any legitimate bad games on my end.
Okay. And I think that'll about do it. Because it's getting close to our broadcasting of the last news desk on the left in about 12 minutes.
Assuming Max shows up on time.
Right.
Which he was pretty good about last season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine he's going to want to get the show going as soon as possible, given the unpleasantness of today.
Yeah.
Anyway, so coming up the week ahead on Friday, not a show per se, but I guess it would technically classify as a crossover. Because I'm going to be guesting on Mac's new Retro Emporium stream, as we're finally, after God knows how many years of him talking about it, we're finally going to go through his 1992 playthrough of the NES version of the Star Trek 25th anniversary game. Like, no, I can't even remember how many fucking years he's talked about doing this. But it's finally happening. We did tests and everything. So that's happening Friday night. And anyway, coming up on the Sunday reviews, we'll be having reviews of Demonizer, which is a bullet hell styled shmup. It's rather good. It's also really difficult, and I'm not good at it. Like Ord for the Nintendo. Ord, everyone has this one now.
Mm-hmm.
It's an
Yep.
adventure game or an interactive fiction game. I think is more appropriate. This is actually going back to like the days of Infocom and Zork, um, more than anything else. But here's the thing: like Gatch it's an interactive fiction game consisting of 3 words. Yeah, and you will give your answers based on those 3 words. Um, Chronos Before the Ashes, which is a action RPG that was initially released on the Oculus Rift, but has since been ported to non VR platforms. The big gimmick with this game is when you die, you age a year. Um,
Hmm.
and Orcs Must Die 2. Uh, Twilight's covering this. It's a
Mhm.
replacement for the game he was going to review. Because click rate, I don't know what the fuck was going on with that game, but it was unreviewable. Um, this is a third-person tower defense game that is character focused.
Mhm.
You know, that is actually that is a subset of tower defense games. Because
Indeed.
some tower defense games, you have mouse control or something like that, cursor control. Some you use an actual avatar. Some are 2D, some are 3D. You know, and yeah, so that'll about do it for this installment of Fragments Silicon. Be sure to join us on the other program streaming on YouTube. And until then, stay safe and good gaming and all that.